Netflix have potentially changed the landscape of movies and TV forever, as they have announced their deal to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery. What will this mean for Netflix and the rest of the industry? Let's discuss this and more on the Late Night Movie Podcast. Welcome back to the Late Nights Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Welchy, and joining me tonight, as always, is Mr. Pop Figures himself, Andy.
Hello guys, yeah, pleasure to be back. I'm excited to talk about, Warner Bros. Being bought out by Netflix and what that could mean for the future.
And our resident horror expert, Stephen.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be back as always. And yeah, the ramifications and how this is going to shake up the movie industry is going to be huge. So definitely worth a conversation around that.
Yeah, so tonight we are going to discuss this announcement from Netflix that they are acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery. Normally, I'll do a game before this, but as we have our big final quiz episode next week, I've decided to keep my material for next week.
Okay.
And savvy listeners will realize that last week I said our next episode will be our most anticipated movies of 2026. That is now our next episode again. I've swapped them around this week because this announcement came out of nowhere, and I thought we want to talk about this first before we go on to our movies for 2026. So I guess we go straight into it. Obviously, I haven't got the article. I've got a BBC article here. December 5th, which was a Friday, I believe it came out Friday announcement.
Yep.
Bearing in mind we recorded on last Sunday, so there was no way we was able to talk about this any earlier than we are now. So yeah, the article from BBC reads like this: Netflix has agreed to buy the film and streaming businesses of Warner Brothers Discovery for $72 billion, which equates to roughly £54 billion in a major Hollywood deal. I'm just going to check in a minute what the deal was for Xbox buying Activision. I feel like it was $60 billion. Don't know why that number rings a bell in my head. So slightly more than what Xbox paid for Activision, I think.
Be curious to know, is Xbox buying Activision the biggest deal that has happened in terms of how much it costs to buy that company, or have there been bigger
Maybe ones? I don't know how much Disney paid for Marvel. That must have been pretty big. Star Wars.
Well, they also acquired 20th Century Fox in the process as well, didn't they?
So that might be number one. We could probably have a look at that as well. But no matter what, this is a massive deal. And I think what's crazy is it's Netflix. I know it sounds silly. Netflix are now massive. Everyone knows Netflix, but Netflix started as this little streaming. Well, was it before that? It was like Love Film, wasn't it? Love Film. Do you remember back in the day?
Sent DVDs in the post to you.
Yeah, Netflix had that in the US. We had Love Film, which was actually bought by Amazon, ended up being Prime Video, and now they're buying Warner Brothers. Like, what the fucking world are we in? And this little company, it's not little, obviously, but you know what I mean. It's just become an absolute phenomenon. So the streaming giant emerged as the successful bidder for Warner Brothers, which means I assume someone else was trying to bid alongside this. Disney comes
Paramount?
to mind.
Maybe.
Paramount, maybe. Amazon, maybe.
I'd be stunned if Disney were. Or does it say?
Sorry, it's got the rivals right here.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry for my coughing as well. It is getting better. I should be coughing a little bit less. Ahead of rivals Comcast and Paramount.
Paramount.
Paramount Skydance after a drawn-out battle.
Who's Comcast?
It's an American company. I don't know if they're obviously nothing we would know about. Warner Brothers.
They sound like.
Go on.
No, just as they sound like they do sort of like more indie stuff. So like when you go to cinema and then you see the production company or maybe a streaming platform potentially.
I think they're like I don't know if it would be like our Sky or something like that, or like our Virgin Media or something. I don't know, something like that. I think.
Yeah.
I would have been surprised if Disney had got in on it, only because they've got Marvel, they've got Fox. Like, surely they can't really realistically have Warner Brothers on top of that.
Having Marvel and DC would be mad, and
it would be absolutely insane.
But it would also be so interesting what they could possibly do with that. But I think they would only own like the media rights. They don't own Marvel, as far as I understand. They just own
Yeah.
the television and movie rights of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Warner Brothers own franchises including Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and the streaming service HBO Max, which makes this very interesting. I can't wait to dive into this a bit more, including the new Harry Potter TV show coming out in however long.
Oh no,
could be on Netflix.
We've got several spin-offs to Game of Thrones as well coming out.
No one cares
next
about
year.
Game of Thrones, Andy. No.
Well, I do.
No one cares.
The takeover is set to create a new giant in the entertainment industry, but the deal will still have to be approved by competition authorities, just like Xbox and Activision had to be done. Some in the film industry, including the Writers Guild of America, have criticized the deal, saying it would negatively impact workers and consumers. Netflix co-chief executive Ted, and how the hell I got Ted from that? Ted Sarandos said the streamer was highly confident it would receive the regulatory approval it needs, and it was running full speed towards this. I don't want to read this whole article. They've said Warner Brothers have defined the last century of entertainment, and together we can define the next one. Netflix estimates it will find $2 billion to $3 billion in savings. Job losses, I imagine. Mostly through eliminating overlaps in the support and technology areas. So that's a nice way of saying we're going to get rid of a load of people.
Yeah, I think
it's a real shame.
I think it's important to note that I think that there are definitely benefits to this, but equally there are concerns, not just for consumers, but the future of entertainment. And I only say that because of how big this feels to me like a real sort of big moment in the industry of where I think it is going to go. Obviously we'll dive into it more, but it's not completely good news, but I wouldn't say it's also completely terrible news at the same time.
So just to clarify, Microsoft bought Activision for $69 billion. So like $5 billion less. So it's pretty close.
Okay.
A lot of money either way.
Yeah, both insane deals. This kind of feels like that deal to me. Like Xbox were getting all of those amazing companies and games in their catalog, and now Netflix are doing the same. And this one feels bigger because, well, we should also add, this article hasn't mentioned it because games always gets forgotten about, but as far as we're aware, they're also buying the rights and the gaming divisions, which Netflix do games, and this is maybe their way of getting into games even more.
So is that like Warner Brothers, like Montreal, those studios are going to then all be acquired by Netflix?
Yeah, so on top of my head, you've got Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Who used to be a great studio. Obviously, their last game wasn't so great. Warner Brothers, the ones who made Batman Arkham Origins, Gotham Knights. NetherRealm, the Mortal Kombat and Injustice developers. And Hogwarts Legacy developer. Is it Avalanche?
That's the big one. Yeah.
Just to name a few. And Hogwarts Legacy was the highest selling game in 2023. First time to beat Call of Duty. To have the sequel ready, and it's Netflix's. It's pretty fucking insane.
That is
absolutely insane. I guess let's start with the movie side, though. We're a movie podcast over here. Stephen, you mentioned benefits. What do you see the benefits of this deal being? I'm guessing you mean for the consumer, class.
Yeah, I would say more so for the consumer. I think that because the thing is, we are moving more towards streaming being I think at the moment it is the number one way that people consume movies and television shows. Both myself, you, Andy, and I know you don't go as much, Welchy, but we are probably in the minority of going to the cinema regularly, and I'm a champion of that because I still think that there is no other experience of going to the cinema, having the lights go down and being immersed in that experience. You don't get that same experience watching stuff at home. Obviously, there are benefits. You're not having to go out and drive or take public transport. You're in the sanctity and comfort of your own home. Cost effective, yes, but I do think that this is a major blow to the cinema industry that is already struggling. So for me, as somebody that still wants to I understand one day that there will be sort of a home entertainment system where you'll press a button and literally everything will be there, and similar to what you do now, where you could pay a premium for home releases for cinema films and all of that kind of stuff. So the benefit will be that those people that don't want to go to cinema will have even more options of accessing movies and TV shows. So I do think that is a benefit, and I think that this is the beginning of the next generation. And that word in the statement, I think, is really poignant. The next generation is the generation where I think that we're moving to, which is fine, but at the same point, it will leave cinemas behind, and that obviously I know that's going to happen, but I don't want it to happen anytime soon, and I think this just expedites that. Don't know if you guys agree with that, but that was the main sort of concern that I read from that's imagine like Odeon and Showcase seeing that statement on Friday morning and going, fuck, like, okay, we might be in spot of bother in the next few years.
Yeah, I don't know when, but I agree, and I think you're spot on about the next generation in terms of kids. I mean, I try and take my kids, well, not my youngest, he's too young, but my daughter, and I want to take her to Zootopia too at some point. But it is so much more convenient to not go and just watch it at home. Wait for it to come to Disney Plus, because she is still young. She might not want to sit through a whole film. Last film I watched to see was Dog Man, I think, and that was a struggle for me because I didn't like the film, and for her because she got antsy halfway through.
Yeah.
But obviously she'll get a bit older, and as she gets older, and I'm even noticing it this week. She's watching Christmas films and sitting there and watching it.
Yeah.
But like everything's becoming short form. TikTok scrolling. People don't have the attention spans. Don't want to go to the cinema to watch movies when they can just wait.
No.
And I do think the next generation, my daughter's age and even slightly older than her now, will be the ones who kill it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
The perfect other example, it was a couple of years ago. Killers of the Flower Moon was a great example of this. So Killers of the Flower Moon was done by Paramount, but also was distributed by Apple TV. So it had a period in the cinema, and then it went straight to the streaming platform. But the movie was 3 hours, 26 minutes. Now that's fine on a streaming service because they don't care.
Yeah.
You can make things as long as you want. There's no restriction, where for a theatrical release, producers often will be sitting in meetings and going, well, we can't have it this long or this short, where, you know, Netflix make it Stranger Things 5. They don't care how long any episode is. It doesn't matter. There is no sort of strict rule that they've got to follow. But it showed that that movie did much better when it went to streaming platforms, because it couldn't have both. Even though visually it was great to see on the big screen. Like, I went to cinema to watch it, but people didn't really care about that. So in terms of like box office sales, it didn't do well, but it did incredibly well on streaming. So we're already starting with that. Only really if you've got ones that are being done by like Apple TV, Paramount Plus. I know, or Paramount,
and Netflix. Andy, you picked Wake Up Dead Man in your Rotten Tomatoes game. That's out in cinemas now or very soon.
It's out now or soon.
And it comes to Netflix, I think, the end of next week. It's like a week or two, it's max in the cinema before it comes to Netflix. And I know I don't know what your two plans are to watch that film, but I have no incentive to go and pay to go to cinema when I can just wait a week and just watch it at home. But what I will say is, obviously, other films I've watched this year, I don't think I would have loved Sinners as much as I love Sinners if I'd have waited for it to watch it at home. I don't get me wrong, it's a good film. I would have still enjoyed it at home.
Yeah.
I don't have the setup, and the kids would be asleep, so I have to turn it down a bit, and I just wouldn't get the same experience.
Yeah.
I think if cinema is to go, I'm going to have to invest at home in a proper system where I feel like I'm in the cinema, and because more like the size of the screen and the sound, because I'm going to miss that, I think.
Yeah. I know. Go on, Andy, sorry.
No, I was also going to say, it depends on which like route Netflix go down, because I know like the CEO who's come out and said he doesn't care about movie release in cinemas and stuff. But it also depends on like what route do they actually want to go down with buying Warner Bros. Is it for them to have their hands in sort of both pies with sort of the cinema releases and the streaming platforms, or do they want to sort of maximize their streaming services by adding more like you say, content shows and movies to their streaming service. So it depends on sort of how they're talking about that and what they want to do with that. And it's like what they done with K-pop Demon Hunters, whatever. See, that came to Netflix and was a massive success. And because of how big that was, they then released it in cinemas.
Yes,
after.
Agree.
And because of how good it was, it done really well in cinemas as well. So they still have that route to go down. If they feel they put something on Netflix, it does well, put it on the big screen. For example, if they've done that with Stranger Things, say the show came out on the streaming platform first, you watched it all, last episode's amazing. They then say, you know what, we're going to drop the last episode in cinemas. I'd probably go watch that. And I know for me, Stephen and I, we both have Limitless, so we pay £20 a month. We can go as many times as we want. It might be that cinemas look at doing better sort of deals and memberships to sort of keep people going, and also in terms of like being cost effective in terms of sort of what they provide at the cinemas in terms of like snacks and drinks and stuff, because I think a lot of that stuff is like way overpriced, and to me I feel like they'd make more money if they actually just lowered the prices and made it normal. And I also think it's easy to sort of lose the like with the UK cinema releases aren't as big as in the US, where you look in the US they go all out for sort of their big releases and stuff, and all the stuff that all the additional build up and stuff that they do. Maybe we would benefit from seeing more of that over here as well, like we did. I don't know, was it last year with Barbie and Oppenheimer, like things like that, where they had the
couple of years ago, the Barbie-heimer movement.
Yeah, so the whole marketing behind that was really, really well done. So potentially looking at doing things more like that going forward to help boost cinema experiences and stuff. Because there are films that still sort of, just more recently, Wicked went to that full screening. Zootopia full screening, like they still draw people in.
Bridget Jones, Man About the Boy was.
I went quite late to watch Bridget Jones as well, and that was still packed when I went to watch that.
I think a couple of points on that, because I think you make some really great points, Andy, about that whole. I mean, it is relating to our conversation about what this deal means, but we could have a separate conversation about cinema, streaming, all that kind of stuff. I think that they've got a 2-point issue with that. Yeah, they could make Limitless cheaper, make drinks and snacks much more affordable, and it would bring more people in. But then the amount that they're having to pay for their overheads, that's the reason that they would jack up the prices, because it's costing them too much. So they've got to find that middle ground where they're not losing money and becoming an unsustainable business, but also trying to keep as many people coming back to their cinemas. And this is completely separate to cinemas, but I also think that this also is sort of a long-term repercussion of what the pandemic did to us, because what the pandemic showed is that a lot of people kitted out like their homes. So like when you go out to bars and stuff, they're not what they were, because people at home turned like their gardens into like bars, and they realized that actually we could save a lot of money, and people now do a lot of stuff in their own homes, and that is still going now. So it could be that people then go, right, I'm going to invest in making a room like a cinema screening, get a projector, and then that's fine. We've got our own cinemas. So I wonder if also Netflix have looked at the state of the world in the last 5 years and gone, do you know what? More and more people are catching on because of how expensive everything is. Let's make the home system as great as we possibly can, which will then have an impact on things like cinema. There will be those people that will still go regardless, but I think it will get less and less. So it's an interesting time that they've also put it in, and I think that they've looked at lots of different factors and thought, you know what, we're big enough to now put our money where our mouth is. But it's interesting.
But the other issue with Netflix and Warner Bros. Is how much are they going to increase their subscription fees by? We've seen the same thing with Game Pass, most recent thing, going up, and people now cancelling that subscription because it's not worth the value. Netflix isn't only streaming platform. You've got, like we said, Prime, Disney. There are other options for people to choose if Netflix increase their prices too much. I know obviously they're getting some big shows, especially I think Harry Potter being the big one that people buy Netflix to watch, no matter how much that's going to cost, obviously excluding you, Stephen. But in terms of things like Harry Potter, obviously Stranger Things, people will pay that much. However much they're going to charge, they will pay to watch it pretty much. There'll only be a few that cancel over that. But if they don't keep up that high quality and they're charging, I don't know, £30 for their subscriptions, people will soon cancel it.
I mean, already, I know there's different tiers, but I've got the 4K, like pretty much the top package you can get for Netflix. And when I got that at $14.99 a couple of years ago, that is now I think $17.99 that I pay a month for Netflix. So you're already looking at just shy of 20. If it then went up to say 30, which I don't think is an unrealistic prediction with what they're acquiring from Warner Brothers and all of the other benefits that come from that, could be a world where Netflix does cost £30 a month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, when they're paying 62 billion or whatever it is, you said Welchy the fee, like how are they going to make that money back? And that's by increasing their prices.
I mean,
and
there will obviously it will be to each consumer, but you're absolutely right. People pay 30 quid for the new Harry Potter series without any shadow of a doubt. There will be like if you're a mad Harry Potter fan, you would pay that. I don't see or hear any Harry Potter fan, unless obviously you don't actually literally have the money. But I can see people kind of just doing that.
To me, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, to you guys, do you think, say, if Netflix increased their subscription to £30, do you think that is way too much to pay?
Well, currently, I just googled it. So at the moment, the cheapest is £6 a month. With that, that includes adverts.
Yeah.
Then they've got £13 a month, which is no adverts, and one extra member, and then premium, which is £19 a month with no adverts, and 2 extra members, and probably the 4K stuff, whatever. Doesn't say that on here specifically. I think what Netflix have done and have been doing anyway is banking on the future being digital and at home. And at the end of the day, it's about content. Xbox know that with Game Pass, get as much content on there as you can, and people won't be able to leave if you can add games to it. Anyway, that's games.
Yeah.
Netflix have the same thing. If they can get all these different studios together, like Disney have, and yes, you'll be saying, okay, everyone's willing to pay £30 a month for Harry Potter. That show ends, and what Netflix will do, they'll have the next thing. Bang. It's not going to be Stranger Things season 6, but let's just say, for example's sake, Stranger Things season 6 is here. Okay, shit. Okay, I'll keep my subscription and watch that. And then Peacemaker season 3 is here. Oh shit. Okay, I'll watch that. Then it's, I don't know, bang, bang, bang. Netflix will get to a point where you're fucked because they have got you by the balls. They've got all the big shows, and don't get me wrong, Disney will still have the Marvel stuff, the Star Wars stuff, but everything other than that is going to be on Netflix now.
Yeah, I also think the other subplot is that we're going to get sort of a fierce battle between Netflix versus Disney. I mean, they've already responded with putting Avengers Endgame back in cinemas, and then they've said that like the last. So my sister was telling me about this earlier. She said that they've now said that the last scene of Avengers Endgame will be the first scene of the new Avengers film, Doomsday. Yeah. So like, but they're doing that. Coincidentally, they've announced that the day after the Netflix announcement. It's kind of like, is that their first sort of retaliation?
Because they are barely a retaliation, though.
It's not really a retaliation, but
they would have been doing that anyway. Because with the new one coming out, they would already be planning. Yeah, I think that's just timing.
I just think people with the timing, it's just a bit of a, you can read into that, but there will be a battle between each other. Disney will look at that and go, "But we've got now a serious enemy, really."
I think that's. Go on, Andy.
No, I was only going to say that can only be a good thing, really. I know Netflix will be buying a competitor, but in terms of sort of, if you're talking just Netflix and Disney, that will only raise the bar for Disney in terms of what they want to release. So, for example, Alien Earth was the latest thing that I can think of that I enjoyed on Disney. Yeah. If Netflix are now sort of acquiring sort of Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, whatever else there is, hopefully that means Disney will be thinking, okay, we need to make sure we're developing and releasing these top shows as well.
Rivals
that option.
Season 2 when that hits as well, because that was a really good first season. So it's not a bad thing. It's going to be great for us because it is, as you rightly said, you're spot on. It's going to raise the bar, but it's just going to be kind of like where we had the whole Xbox versus PlayStation. Like it's now going to be a full-on who's going to win the battle for the streaming. Will it be Disney or will it be Netflix? It's just going to be fascinating to see that battle.
I don't think either of them can lose, really, can they?
Yeah, I don't think there's a winner or a loser. I think,
yeah,
it sounds weird. The winner is the consumer, but I also disagree with that because we're losing the cinema and we're going to be paying fucking 30 quid each a month probably for these services.
Yeah.
We all moaned about, sorry, I moaned about how much Sky is and how much you have to pay to put TNT on there.
Yeah.
And then it's like, back in the day, this is not that long ago, he was like, why would I pay for Sky and all this stuff when I can get Netflix for a tenner?
Yeah.
But it won't be long until it's the same fucking price, and we're all fucked.
Just talking about, I know obviously it's down to choice, but I can't remember when I did this because I've got Amazon Prime, Paramount, Disney Plus, which I do pay for a year. So I don't pay for that monthly. I do that every March. That comes around, that just goes. But that has gone up, I think, in 5 years by like 30 quid on its own. So already that every month that comes around in March, I'm like, right, what's the new damage that I've now got to pay? But they've got Amazon Prime, Paramount, Netflix, Disney Plus. When I added up how much that is a month, I was like, what the actual fuck? Now, I don't want to get rid of any of them because I use all of them. Not so much Paramount Plus, but there's stuff on there that I want to watch. So once I've watched that, but then they've got the rights to things like South Park and like the adult iCarly, and they've got all the horror stuff on there. So there's enough on there on Paramount Plus to keep you busy. Amazon Prime with the football, that's another thing that Amazon Prime do really well. So you're not just got Invincible, but you've got Champions League matches. I know they've stopped Premier League sort of coverage, but that will be there for a while. Then you add your Sky Sports, your TD. It is ludicrous how much, if you get all of them and you pay for a month, you look at it and you go, fuck, I can't believe I'm spending that much. But at the same breath, you're like, but I'm getting a lot out of it. So I'm fucked. I'm worried about it, but there's nothing I can do because all of these streaming services are ones that I want and have got shows on there that I'm watching or waiting for new seasons to drop. So
you can split the cost though. So obviously, not with Netflix is usually the one where it's more difficult to like share, unless you've obviously got the highest package. But with all the others like Prime, Disney, you can have one account and have several sort of family members log into that account and use it. And that way you then can choose to either split the cost or one family pays for one thing, a family member pays for another thing. You then have access to all the different streaming services.
I personally believe that everyone will do the same though. I think eventually now Netflix have got away with it for so long, it's just become the normal. Everyone else will slowly follow suit because they'll realize Netflix's subscriptions have gone up because of this, probably, I'm guessing. And Disney will be like, well, why the fuck are we not doing that? So I agree, but I do think that will change at some point.
Which will also be another drawback because, as you rightly said, Andy, that's a great way of splitting the cost. But if the streaming services go, no, we want to get as much money as possible, and they actually stop that feature from happening, then I don't think it'll happen anytime soon though, because it's really hard to police. Because like there are ways, even on like Netflix, you could just like I have Netflix at mine, but obviously when I go to Chloe's, I log in, but then I will just select to say that this is my primary household, and I just switch the two. So there are ways around it, and I don't think that's a bad thing because technically my argument is to that is, well, how do they know? I might have two houses. I might literally have two places that I own.
Well, you can choose when you go on Netflix to say that you're traveling, and it gives you a code, so you don't have to switch to. But obviously, it's just the annoyance of having to do that every time you go to a new place.
But as Welch said, they could take that away completely, and then other streamers suit. I don't think that's going to happen for a long time, but that would be another drawback, particularly if they kind of want to get as much money as possible. I think that's the most important thing. We'll get into the heart of it. Things don't need to be as expensive as they are, but whilst we all pay for it, it ain't going to change. So we are our own worst enemy in that sense.
Yeah. And the problem, like I said, is that you're going to get to a point, I think, where they have so much content and new content coming that you don't feel like you can cancel. And that's I know I could go back to Xbox, but the reason I've cancelled is because I've got a period now where I'm not using it, and I will cancel it, and I have cancelled it. Will I get it back? Probably, if there's something I want to play and it's cheaper to get it through Game Pass. And the same will happen for Netflix, maybe at first, but I don't know. I just feel like Netflix is going to come to a point where it feels like they've always got something there for you to watch. and same with Disney. So
they James Bond is that's
Amazon.
That's Amazon. Just to because I know that at the time Warner Brothers was working with them, but that's now solely owned by Amazon Studios, so they won't be affected by this. Okay.
No, but interestingly, The Last of Us will now be a Netflix show.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Probably the only part of the deal I didn't want after season 2. I did ask on Discord for our listeners' feedback on this topic. Bigsy wrote in, sorry, I'm going to cough, and said, as a Netflix subscriber, I'm glad they've bought it, as it only means more to watch on Netflix for me. It's definitely one way of looking at it. I agree. But there's obviously a lot of negatives, such as the price, as we've discussed. We also have Jack, who wrote in saying he's not too fussed by Warner Brothers being bought by Netflix. As Big said, it's something I subscribe to, so happy for the extra shows. And Netflix shows have been decent enough standard, and even then, I'm sure the shows WB produce will stay all the same, like staff, etc. Yes, but not the like they basically said they're going to get rid of the people behind the scenes. They've said that in the nicest way possible. Just now we've produced by Netflix slapped on it. Yes, I see your point, but again, I think it's more to it than that. I think there's a lot of... The main two issues are what we've covered. The cinemas going out of business.
Yeah, the cinema. Yeah.
People losing their jobs and price.
Because it will be like, you know, when we watched Uncut Gems in our recent A to Z series, even though that was distributed by A24 at the start, it's in a Netflix film. So every Warner Brothers movie, I'm assuming, is going to have that, like at the start, a Netflix film.
The next Supergirl, I don't think it's going to be in place by the time Supergirl comes out. But every DC film from the next 3 years on, 2 years on, whenever it gets finalized, will be a Netflix film.
I've just also had another moment. Does it also then open the door for more DC like Netflix shows, similar to like, you know, with like the Marvel Daredevil on Disney?
I don't think they'll do it that way. I think they'll just
no.
James Gunn is the head of DC Studios currently. He is running that show. I don't think his plans will change at all, other than he has to stamp Netflix on it, and he'll have to get approval by Netflix on his stuff and whatever, blah blah blah. But I don't think they'll make specific. I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore, like the Netflix version, the Netflix stuff. I think it's just they own Warner Brothers now. They own DC movie shows, whatever.
I bet James Gunn will fucking hate that, having to get
I bet there's a lot of people pissed,
James Gunn apparently does a lot of projects with Netflix already, so I don't think that's a natural issue for him. That's what I read in an article.
DC.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that he already works on with Netflix or has in the past.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Ben.
But there might be other people that do.
Ben also wrote in saying oh no, that's a different one. That's for the next episode. In terms of Netflix buying Warner Brothers, I do slightly worry about the future of traditional cinema. If they start being more flexible with the way they release the films. Yeah, I mean, just going back to that, I do think they're not going to just get rid of cinema films straight away. I know Harry Potter TV is a TV show, but if they were to make a new Harry Potter film, for example, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're going to make hundreds of millions and millions of pounds in the cinema.
Yeah.
They're not stupid to get rid of that. It will just be a quick turnaround to... And maybe the big films, the next Superman film or the next Batman film, will have a bit of a longer window in the cinema.
Yeah.
But most stuff will be like a 2-week turnaround, I think.
For me, what I will be curious to see is, would they release the movie in the cinema for a short period and then go onto Netflix, or do it the other way around?
Yeah, that's what
No, but I mean, what route does it go to? Netflix first, then cinema, or cinema first and then Netflix?
The big films with with a fan base will go cinema first, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's the films like Andy said, like K-pop, where they didn't see it being as big as it is. Where they're like, oh shit, this is good. Now let's put it in cinema. I don't know if they make a film about it could just be anything, or the Strange Things spin-off film or something. If they did something like that, that's got a big audience, but they might not know how it's going to go down.
Yeah,
people watch it and it's like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. They'll be like, shit.
But then the direct consequence is that those movies will have short windows. I mean, already now there's been a couple of movies that I've wanted to go and watch, but they're out the cinema like that, like within like 4 or 5 days, and you're like, that literally only came out sort of 10 days ago. Where on earth has it gone? So that will have a consequence because the windows will be far shorter.
Yeah, but they would have made their money that they wanted to make, if that makes sense. Like, I know it's a bad thing for us, but for Netflix, they were like, we made that extra bit of money we wouldn't have made if we just released it on Netflix. And even like, say, the next Batman film, it will be a 2-week turnaround to go onto Netflix, but they'll probably keep it in the cinema as well as like we're still going to make money, so we'll keep it on.
Yeah.
Because there are still people that want to see this film on a big screen. That number will keep going down and down and down until eventually they're like, okay, we're not seeing this benefit anymore. Yeah, it's a sad day, but it's an interesting day. It's going to be so interesting to see if this even goes through. There's people saying that Netflix has been very dirty here because by making this statement, Warner Brothers can't go and do anything now. Like, they can go and make films and stuff, but they can't acquire anyone. They can't go and do this, do that. They can't do any big moves. They can continue making their films and stuff, but they can't go and do anything new, if that makes sense. Like, go and get someone in.
Yeah.
And basically what it will do is bring down the value. So even if it goes down, it brings Warner Brothers down a bit, and Netflix will just go past them anyway. Like, it's kind of just fucking up Warner Brothers either way.
Isn't there like a fee or something they have to pay though? I was like, I can't remember exactly what I read in the article.
Oh, I'm sure they have to pay something, but
it's like a £6 billion fee they have to pay. I can't remember what they called it, but
I'm sure Warner Brothers would rather have the time to. Obviously, they're up for sale anyway, so that it's not really a big issue because someone was going to get them. I think Netflix buying them puts more scrutiny on the deal. I think if this was Comcast, this would go through pretty quick, or even Paramount. I think it'd go through quicker. I think because of the size of Netflix, it's going to make it a bit more scrutiny. But I didn't think the Xbox deal would go through because I thought there was too much competition. Like PlayStation saying no and everything, but it did. So I think Netflix wouldn't have done this if their legal team would have looked through the shit out of this. I'm sure they'd get it through.
So did Warner Brothers, were they in a position that they had to have someone come in and help?
I think they've been struggling. They've been doing all this stuff with HBO where they've renamed it like 5 times because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I think then their most recent change at the top haven't been doing it very well. I'm not the most into all the details here. I don't know every single thing about this, but I know that they've been trying to sell the games divisions for ages. I never saw it being Netflix.
Well, no. And obviously I know that this is primarily focused on the movie, but sort of for the last decade, Rocksteady and Warner Bros. Montreal have been massively struggling.
Yep.
Once Arkham Knight came out,
they've been mishandled.
Yeah. I mean,
DC
it's unfortunate
DC have. We're only talking positive about DC now because James Gunn's involved.
Yeah.
It's too little too late, and they've now found this out because they've been fucking sold. So.
But also it makes me kind of also think that when I look at sort of Rocksteady with the games that have followed Arkham Knight that have all been pretty mediocre because of the mishandling and it kind of, is this just time catching up with Warner Brothers and how that
they have had successful games. This is a fucking movie podcast, but like Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat,
that's the exception.
There are successful games, but yes, we're all waiting for that next Rocksteady one. And they have had successful movies, but if you're at the end of the day, if it's mishandled, and there's someone out there who wants to buy you, and they've put a price down, it's hard to say no.
Well, they're probably their most successful one. I know Superman recently, but Oppenheimer and was Oppenheimer Warner Bros. Or Barbie? I know Barbie definitely wasn't it? But Christopher Nolan tends to have his movies distributed by Warner Brothers.
Well, he's one of the main people that's come out against all of this, isn't he?
Oppenheimer was distributed by Universal Pictures. After his departure from Warner Brothers, he departed from. I remember this. I think he left them after Tenet, maybe.
Right.
Which means Odyssey is safe. The Odyssey is safe.
Was Barbie though? Was Warner Brothers, wasn't it? I'm just thinking about what was their what they would argue is their most successful one recently. Yeah, I thought it was. Because imagine if they both had the rights to both Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Barbie will be on Netflix before long.
Yeah.
Crazy. I do want to move on to what we've been watching. Stephen and I haven't watched anything this week, so we're not here to talk about what we've been watching. But Andy has been watching, and I don't know what this show is. Something about Spartacus, Fall of Asher?
House of Asher.
House of Asher.
Yeah. So I saw this like advertised ages ago. I thought, oh, cool, something new to do with Spartacus. And do you remember the character?
Yes.
Stephen, have you seen all of it? All of Spartacus?
Yeah, I saw all of it.
Yeah.
I am in the process of rewatching because it's been ages like that I watched it, but I did watch the whole series when it came out.
Okay, so for anyone that hasn't watched Spartacus, there may be spoilers here, but it came out years ago, so you should have watched it by now. But basically, the Spartacus show ends with Asher, who's throughout the show one of the most annoying characters ever. Hated him.
Yeah.
He's cunning.
He's
a bit of a trickster. Everything he done was done in a dirty way. And at the end of Spartacus, he dies. It was, I can't remember her name, but the girl that basically he abuses and stuff, she gets her revenge and kills him. The way that this show starts, and it's annoying because I want to watch it because it's in that world, like the Roman world, and I like that sort of stuff. Part of the reason why I'm really excited for Odyssey, Romans, all that sort of stuff. This TV show basically starts saying, so this is what happened in Spartacus. This is what might have happened if Asher didn't die. And
what the fuck?
It gives you like a little mini story saying Asher basically helped take down Spartacus and helped kill him, and he's got favor with one of these Romans, and now it's the House of Asher, and he's got his own gladiator. Like he's got the same gladiator area that I can't remember their names now, but that the old Dominus had.
Yeah.
So he now owns that basically, and he's running it, and he's got his own set of gladiators, and it's pretty going to be. There's only 2 episodes out so far, so I've only watched the first.
Oh, this is recent.
Yeah, it's on at the moment. Yeah.
What?
So this is on MGM. Yeah, it's only just come out.
This sounds like the kind of thing they would have done years ago.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. Yeah, but no,
that's what I was thinking.
This is a new show to do with Spartacus, and the annoying thing is they've chose one of the worst characters from the main show that I absolutely hated. So why have they decided to do a story around him, but then also do a mini story at the start where it's like, okay, well, let's just pretend he didn't die, and this is what would have happened if he lived. And it's like, what the fuck? So it's annoying.
Does it have
like that?
Does it have the same style, like the ultra violence and all of that kind of stuff? Is it kind of Spartacus series was? Yeah.
In terms of like the theme and like the dramatic music and the way that they show some shots and stuff, like when someone makes an entrance, it's exactly the same as Spartacus. So you know straight away this is Spartacus. I just wish they either done something completely separate and done like a different story that was maybe in the same timeline but outside of Spartacus, instead of just choosing a random character, not a random character because he was quite a big character in the show. I don't know if everyone's opinion was the same on him, but for me, I'd really disliked him. So already that's put me off. But then to turn around, originally I thought this was going to be a prequel to the last season somewhere.
Yeah.
So when I started watching it, and there's like, no, this is what happened in Spartacus. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. It has the wife of Dominus.
Oh yeah.
Because she dies at the end as well with her baby or unborn baby. I can't remember now. But it's basically her speaking to him in the underworld, saying, "These are the choices you made. This is the life that you went through. Would you like a second chance?" Basically, and then it sends him, and then it's like he wakes up from a dream and he's like, "Oh, that was weird." It's that whole typical thing we joke about, like, "Oh, it was all a dream."
Yeah,
and that's basically what they've done with the start of this show. It's like it should be a game where you've like respawned, but it's not a game. It's a TV show, and it just doesn't really make sense. But
the big thing from hearing about all of that is, I only have one question: why? Why have we made this then? Like, because it's not necessarily a bad thing having a character as the main person that you can't like in any shape or form, but it's got to be necessary to the story, and this just sounds like it's absolutely it's just not necessary in any shape or form.
It's like they wanted to do something to continue the Spartacus. Well, it's not even Spartacus because obviously Spartacus is dead. So They shouldn't. It shouldn't really be called. It's called Spartacus House of Asher, but I don't think they can really include Spartacus in there. They do talk about the characters that were in the previous show, in the previous seasons. Some of the gladiators that died, you sort of see their skeletons and they get mentioned in certain sort of ways. But yeah, it just makes no sense that they've decided to go down this route for a new Spartacus show. Obviously, they've done it because it was popular and people probably been asking
a long
for.
time ago, though. It feels like
the last season was like 2014, 15, wasn't it? Has it been
15, I think.
It's been like a decade since the last season, so I could understand if it happened maybe like a year after, but like, why now?
Well, they like to you see it all the time, don't you? Things
it's like a reboot.
Dexter,
yeah. But it's just the way in which they've rebooted it is the weird thing for me. Like, there was nothing more annoying than that guy anyway. He dies, he gets his deserved end at the end of the show, and then it's like they want to piss off fans by saying actually he didn't actually die. Now this is his story, like afterwards, and the fact that they say he helped kill Spartacus, and you see like a flashback of him throwing spears at Spartacus. It's like, no, he got his deserved end, and we enjoyed it. Please don't try and make us like this character.
I don't like the idea of it being an alternative ending, because I'll be watching it thinking, but none of this has fucking happened, is it? Because my ending happened in the other way.
That's why it's weird. Like, I'm watching it, I'm feeling like really conflicted about it, because I like the whole gladiator thing, and I like the whole time it's set in. I like all of that stuff, so I'm wanting to watch it because it's set in that period of time. But I'm thinking, like, I still hate you, and that. Like, this, how is this even happening? I'm thinking, like, how is this even possible? Like, he's dead. Like, so I just wish they chose a different character that was potentially still alive and you didn't see him die, and they showed their story after Spartacus. Or they do it as a prequel, and there's this whole other story inside that timeline that was happening with maybe a new character that they can talk about. For example, I think season 3, when Caesar comes to help, or I think that was his name. He's the commander. He comes. They bring him to help take down Spartacus, but you don't really see any of his build up. He just sort of gets introduced at that point to sort of help maybe do a show on his character and how he built up his reputation. So there was a lot of potential for other ideas in
Crixus.
there. Crixus.
The characters people like.
Yeah, exactly. And like, when Spartacus starts, he's already like a mage champion at that. I can't remember what they call it, but at that gladiator base, I'm going to call it. So yeah, why not do a story on him and how he rose to fame? Like, there's so many other characters as well. So it's like, I'm really conflicted watching it. I am enjoying it, but not just because it's in that world. I want to see where it goes, the story goes. But I just don't like the way they've done that whole start intro.
My memory's sort of hazy, because as I said, it's been a long time since I watched it. I watched it all with my dad back in the day, and I have got the whole box set to go through at some point. But I do remember thinking that actually those 4 seasons wrapped up that story really nicely.
Yeah.
Like,
it was.
We don't really need anything more from the Spartacus world, personally.
I would happily have more, but just not this. Like,
I mean, I'm not opposed. Like, I'm absolutely happy for it, but it's got to be something that is a really good story, because otherwise it's just doing it for the whole sake of doing it, where you told the story. The 4 seasons are great. Sort of, I think it was the first, and then you had Gods of the Arena, Vengeance, and then War of the Damned. And each season, even though it was set in the same world, it had different levels and different areas of this massive, Roman Empire. Perfect. Great. Like, we did that 10 years ago. Why are we back here? And if we are going to be back here, we've got to be back to something meaningful. You could even do something where you go back to the early points of Spartacus, how he meets like his wife. I know they talk about it in the first season, but like, from a very early point, like his rise to when we see him at the very beginning of season 1. That would be interesting. Or maybe do different stories each episode. So one does the backstory of Spartacus, then, another one for, Celsius and that kind of thing. Do like an anthology, maybe.
There's so many characters in the Spartacus world that they could have chosen to do a whole prequel on prior to the Spartacus happening, where they became champions, because they obviously want to focus. It is focused on like the arena again. Like, it's all about the spectacles, the gladiator fights. It's all about that again. So, but they could have easily chosen a character that we liked from Spartacus series, and then done a prequel on that character and their rise to fame in the arena, if they wanted to go down that route, because you no longer have that. I don't know what what the direction that the story is going to have. At the moment, it just feels like this is like the rise of Asher and his house, and him trying to build up his reputation for his house. I don't know if there's like mention of a war in the background, I think, so I don't know if that's going to come into play. But yeah, it's just not necessary. He was dead. I wanted him to stay dead. Go down a different route with this.
Hopefully,
and maybe they'll tarnish them doing it this way. Could tarnish what they've already built up as a success.
Hopefully, there's like a big twist halfway through that just turns the story on its head.
Spartacus is still alive.
Even if he's still alive and he comes back and kills Asher, I would be happy with that. But yeah, no, that's the only thing that would like redeem this. But even then, like,
have you seen the Rotten Tomatoes score?
I haven't, but I saw it on IMDb, and both episodes had a 7.5, I think.
Currently on Rotten Tomatoes, only 10 critics, so not many. 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that surprises me.
But audience score of 46.
Yeah. Okay. See, so that's I think where the story comes into play, because the critics are pretty looking at all the fancy stuff, like it's because it's done in the same format as Spartacus. It's good to watch because you do have those scenes where it's intense, the music, the instructions of characters. It is really good in that sense. But because of the story, I think that's where the audience score will go down, because they're like, I think we're in the majority where no one liked Asher really. So the fact that they brought him back from the dead to be like, oh, actually, you're still alive. I think that's where the audience score is going to drop.
I imagine visually,
critics.
Yeah, I imagine visually it looks even better, because obviously when we had the first series in like 2009, obviously we've come a long way. So that's also probably what critics love.
I'm one of the people that
I don't know what.
I'm one of the people that think CGI have gone downhill, not uphill. I think CGI these days looks fucking shit. But...
I mean, it still looks amazing
back then,
the original series, but I imagine it must look. I mean, does it look the same, Andy, or slightly better visually from what you can remember?
To be fair, I feel like they've got a smaller budget for this based on what they had for Spartacus. Because like even like the arena that they've got at the moment, it's like a small square box. It's like the old style sort of just a square box basically. I was thinking, like, I think I remember the arena getting burnt down in the last season of Spartacus. But there's no mention of that. So it's like, if they mentioned that burnt down and was getting rebuilt or something, so that's why they're using this arena, then I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. That's cool. But from what I've seen so far, they haven't mentioned that. So it's like, is this just the new arena now? Is this how big it is, even though it's set after Spartacus, where there was a massive arena that they all went to? So there's just a couple of like plot holes, and all I say to you both is watch the first 2 minutes of this show. Just the first episode's free, so you watch the first episode for free. But then if you want to watch the second episode, you have to subscribe to MGM. So go watch the first 2-3 minutes of this show just to know what I'm talking about with the flashback to the whole Asher being alive thing, just to get your opinions on it.
Okay.
Because you'll pretty hate it as much as I did.
Yeah, I'm not. I've got other things I'd rather do, but maybe I will do that.
Yeah, at some point I will as well. It's not on my top of my priority list. And if you had said to me it was absolutely amazing, then but from what you've outlined, I will at some point, but definitely not for now.
Once all the episodes out, and because I will finish it, like I say, I'll watch anything to do with this type of sort of genre. But if I finish it and I think it's good, then I'll recommend it. But I'm just from that beginning, like I was already on a like, oh fuck's sake sort of thing.
That sounds really shit, I won't lie. That sounds really, really bad.
I just want you guys to watch the first 3 minutes to see like this is how they've started this new show off. Like, not the right way to get the audience in.
No.
Well, I was not expecting that kind of conversation, but it was a good one. Well, that is going to do it for tonight's episode of the Late Night Movie Podcast. Let us know your thoughts on the Netflix deal. Do you think this is bad for the industry or the consumer? Drop your thoughts in the comments or tag us on socials at the Late Night Pods. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can also join our Discord using the link in the description so you can get your thoughts into the podcast before we record, like Jack, Bigsy, and Ben did today. So thank you to those guys. If you enjoyed the episode, please make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you're listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss next week's episode. Speaking of which, next time we will be discussing, and I promise it will be next time, our most anticipated movies of 2026, so you won't want to miss that one. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I've been your host, Welchy, and my co-hosts have been Andy.
Yeah, thank you as always, guys. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, let's see what the future holds with the movie industry.
And Stephen.
Yeah, been a pleasure as always, and also looking forward to talking about what movies we're most excited for next year.
Thank you for listening, and see you next time.